Hey loves. I'm so excited to have you guys on here with me today. So I don't want my Facebook messages to keep disrupting me, so I'm gonna turn those off. So for those of you who are new to me, there's so many new people in this group today or this week. And so I just want to welcome you and introduce myself. My name is Morgan Danielle, and I am a life coach that specializes in helping women overcome trauma so that they can release toxic relationship patterns. And when I say toxic relationship patterns, that can be with ourselves and others, because our relationships with other people are an extension of the relationship that we have with ourselves. And so if you are watching, go ahead and comment, say hi Margie. Comment, say hi, let me know that you're here. And if you're watching the replay, then hashtag replay. So we're gonna go ahead and dive right in. So today I'm sharing this 20-minute training with you all to let you know how to let go of toxic or emotionally unavailable partners. And I'm gonna go as deep as I can in this 20 minutes, but I can only go so far in this short period of time. So at the end, I'm gonna share with you all, there's always a select few who are very committed and really want to change and get deeper into this work. So at the end, I'll share with you how you can get extra support if that's something that you're wanting to do. And so, hey Marie, so glad that you guys are here. So I have a very extensive background with dealing with emotionally abusive partners, emotionally unavailable partners, toxic relationships, and that is why I got into this work in the first place, because I kept having these same types of relationships over and over, and no matter how much I changed what the guy looked like or what their status was like or what their lifestyle was like, the one thing that stayed the same was they're all emotionally available or they're toxic. And so we have to recognize where this pattern is coming from in the first place. And so when I say, toxic or emotionally unavailable, what that is gaslighting. People that don't want commitments will play the hot and cold game, will come on really, really strong and then pull back and have this dynamic of chaos, right? And it can be, somebody that doesn't want a relationship, like a avoidant person, but they're still wanting to have all the benefits of you, right? And so I had this pattern ever since I really started dating when I was a freshman in high school, and that followed with me for most of my 20s, my early 20s, and so where this, I made a post about this the other day. Hey, Amanda. So I made a post about this the other day about how I was wanting to date this emotionally unavailable man for 2 years. We met and we really hit it off, but he straight up told me that he was emotionally unavailable and he did not want a relationship. And in my brain, I was like, oh, I can change that. I can love him and he'll end up loving me. And it was like this challenge for my ego. And in my mind, in my trauma brain, I was like, if I can win over this person's love, then it's going to make up for all the love that I didn't get when I was younger. And we expect in the beginning that these people are going to change, they're going to see how amazing we are and they're going to change their minds. And when we think that way, it really sets us up for heartbreak, and it sets us up for rejection. And so when we, when me and this guy would hang out, what would happen was we were long distance. And so we would hang out and go on these long weekends together. And I would get all my needs met. He would give me attention. He'd give me affection. It felt really good. It was like we were dating. And then I'd go home and I would crash. Like, I would have this dopamine crash and feel rejected and unwanted, and like, why didn't he love me? Why didn't he want to pursue things with me? Because we had such a great time together. And so that really took a toll on my self-esteem. And you know, I always felt like I couldn't, like, the fact that he didn't want a relationship with me, I felt that rejection, and so I couldn't really be my authentic self. And I'm like, okay, next time we hang out, I'm gonna be myself, I'm gonna put my guard down, and he's gonna see how really amazing I am, and then he's gonna fall for me. And it never happened, because we cannot open up and be our authentic selves when we're constantly feeling hurt and rejected, right? And so we can't let the right person in, because we have this relationship pattern, and then we're feeling rejected and we're not feeling good enough, and so we keep our walls up. And when we are attracting these emotionally unavailable or emotionally toxic partners, there's a part of us that is emotionally unavailable as well. And that's where we have to discover our limiting beliefs about ourselves and what we truly think about relationships. Hey, Sandra. So I'm sure that you guys, if you're on here, then you can probably relate to that. And so first we have to look at where this pattern stems from in the first place. Typically we choose partners that mirror the parent that we had the most turmoil with. And so if you think about all the partners that you've had that have been toxic, I'm sure you can find some similarities between that and your caregiver that you had the most issues with. And so if a parent was making you feel rejected, they didn't let you be yourself, they made you feel like you weren't good enough, maybe there was rejection or abandonment, maybe a parent left, or you didn't get the attention that you needed because mom and dad were working so much. You're going to have those wounds of rejection. And if you had, a parent that was always very overly critical of you or over controlling, you can relate that to the partners that you're recognizing yourself come in contact with and attract. And like you have this like intense feeling right off the bat, and you kind of get sucked into this person. And the reason why is because they're mirroring that parent that you just didn't, or that caregiver that you just didn't quite get that love you needed. And so our brain is trying to relive this experience and try to change the outcome, so you can finally feel worthy and loved. So it's like trying to make up for what you experienced in childhood, technically. And so we have to look at why we even have this attraction to this partner in the first place, right? Because awareness is the catalyst for change. We have to understand where these patterns are coming from. And a lot of my work is revolved around childhood trauma. The trauma could be, no matter how big or small. I've talked to many, many women at this point who are like, I have these toxic relationship patterns, but I grew up in a really loving home and I had a great childhood. And I'm not saying that you didn't. I'm just saying that there is capital T trauma and there's baby T trauma. And no matter what trauma you experienced, it disrupted your identity and that formation of your self-esteem and your self-worth. And so that can look like I said, like if a parent worked too much and you didn't get the attention that you needed, it can be something like that. Or it could be something like, a parent abandoned me. It doesn't matter how extreme the trauma was. It just matters that it's there, because in a child's eyes, that trauma was everything. Like that parent not having time for you. We think as children, like if our parent does something, or our caregiver does something, or an adult does something, and it doesn't make us feel good, then we think something's wrong with us. Like mom worked so much that she didn't have time for me because I'm not good enough for her to make time for me. And so, it can be things like that, or it can be being compared to a sibling. There's so many things that normally when I hop on a call with people and they don't know where this stems from, we can figure it out so quickly. And so every external relationship that we have is an extension of the relationship that we have with ourselves. So we have to figure out why we don't have this loving relationship with ourselves, or why we don't have respect for ourselves, or why we don't feel we're worthy of love, right? So that is the first step to getting into this, right? And then second, we have to stop living in denial. We have to recognize that these people aren't changing for us. We're not gonna, I've talked to people that have waited around 9, 10, 20 years for these emotionally unavailable or toxic partners to change for them, because they have that deep longing to fix this person or save this person, right? Because then if they can save this person, then they're worthy of that love, right? And so that's kind of the subconscious thought behind this. And so, hey Lindsay, hey Rayleigh, hey Renee. And so, we have to come into the reality of they're hurting us, we are hurting, whether it's intentional on their part or not, we're hurting. And in the meantime, we are putting ourselves on the back burner. We're putting our lives on the back burner, waiting around for this person to finally accept us and give us that love that we want. And we're trying to, play savior. We want to give them this love, and maybe if we can give them the love that they need, then they'll give us what we need. And so we have to recognize that it's not our job to change anyone. It's not our job to save anyone. We have to let people go their own course in life, and we have to choose whether we can stick around for that or not. If it's too painful, we have to leave. We have to take ourselves out of that situation. How much longer can you do this? For myself, I came to a point where I just couldn't do it anymore. The pain of rejection, became so painful that it outweighed that instant gratification that I got from the relationships that I was in. Like the instant gratification of having somebody, give me affection or attention, or, love bombing me. It feels really good in that moment. It was instant gratification of having that person show me the love that I needed. And that pain of the rejection just started to overpower that instant gratification at the point where I left this emotionally unavailable person. And so earning their commitment is not going to automatically make you worthy of love. And sometimes we can subconsciously think that. We can think that if we can change this person, if we can make them commit to me, then I'll be worthy of love, or I'll finally be good enough. And so we have to get out of that mindset and recognize that we are lovable, that we're good enough, that we are worthy of love just as we are. And it doesn't depend on anyone else saying that or validating us in that way, right? And so we have to let go of those limiting beliefs. We have to find where these limiting beliefs came from, that we're not lovable, that we're not good enough. And we have to rewire those, which is what I do with my clients. We're able to rewire these things that are holding us back from having this loving relationship with ourselves, which in turn gives us the ability to be open for better relationships that are healthy for us. And so our third is we have to look at what this partner is offering you. What need is this partner meeting for you? And, for us to stick around, there has to be some need being met. And that need could be the need for connection, affection. they're distracting you from yourself. A lot of the time, like in my personal experience and a lot of my clients as well, when we are constantly getting into relationships that aren't serving us and that are toxic and unhealthy for us, we're avoiding ourselves. We're like, it's kind of distracting us from being alone with ourselves. I know that I was really scared to be alone with myself. I knew nothing about myself. I didn't ever take the time to get to know who I was, what I liked, what I didn't like, you know, and Erica said, great sex, and I can understand that, getting that physical intimacy for myself, connection for me, like I was starved of connection. And I thought the only way I could get connection was through an intimate relationship with a guy. And what I came to realize was that we have to find that connection in other places. Like, we as humans, we thrive on connection. We need that connection. And a lot of the times when we have this trauma, we think that we can only get it from a romantic partner giving us physical or emotional intimacy. And so we put all our eggs in that basket, and we're willing to put up with anything to get that need met. And so I struggled with codependency and love addiction, and you know, I would get that instant gratification of having, you know, a great intimate connection, having that person pay attention to me and listen to me, make me feel really important. And then I got the drastic low of when it wasn't consistent, right? And so we have to look for this connection in other places. Like, we need to have friends that are uplifting to us. I know that a lot of us, if you're here, then you may not have very good family connections. And so we need to find these connections and get these connections through other women to help fulfill us. Because if we're going around and, you know, if we're closed off to women because of our trauma, then of course we're going to look through a man. But you know, we have to allow ourselves to be vulnerable, to have those female friendships and relationships. And that's why I think that it's so important to have a group of people. Like in my group coaching program, we have this group of women that are all going through the same thing, and they're supporting one another and being, you know, being there for one another. And so it's really important to have that kind of connection so that you're not starved for it, so that when somebody that's, you know, waving red flags right in front of your face, when they show those to you, you're not going to have these blinders on and look past it. And so we have to not only find that source of connection, but we also have to raise our self-esteem and raise our confidence. Because if we're raising our self-esteem and our confidence, then we're not going to really need that person's validation as much. We're not going to need the highs that they bring into our life, because we feel good on our own. And so, so being able to, you know, try new things and being able to find those people that you can feel safe with, that's going to be a major game changer in this work that you're doing. Because like I said, like, we're human. We need to, we're not meant to be isolated, and we need to feel important. We need to feel heard. We need to feel seen. And we can't, you know, we can give those things to ourselves to an extent. Self-validation is a major part of what I teach as well, which is being able to self-soothe and validate your own feelings, because a lot of the times we're looking to external sources for you know, that validation. But if we can give that to ourselves to an extent, we're not going to be settling for the first person that gives it to us. And so then we need to ask ourselves, if this person magically changed their mind and they decided that they did want a consistent relationship with us, would we even want that partner? So I came to this realization. I was chasing this guy for 2 years, and I recognized that he had a lot of things in his life that I did not want in a partner. But the fact that he was rejecting me, it made me want him. It made me want to chase him. And so I thought about it. I was like, if he decided that he wanted to be with me, would I want to be with him? Would I choose him? And the answer is no. He was a big drinker. He partied a lot. He was very avoidant in the way that he dealt with things, and he didn't know how to communicate openly, and he was narcissistic. None of that would change. I would just be in a really unhappy relationship. And so we have to recognize that half the time we really just want that person to love us, even if we don't necessarily want that person as a partner. And we may think that we do in the beginning because everything feels good, and then we see all these red flags, but the good feelings they bring us is so good that we just don't care. And so ask yourself, if this person committed to you, would you even want them to be your long-term partner? I am so grateful at this point for all the men who rejected me that I was putting up with, because they were all narcissistic. They were very inconsistent. They were major love bombers, and then would play this hot and cold. That doesn't go away when you have a commitment to somebody that acts like that. It's just something that, you have this commitment, but it doesn't change who this person is, and you can't change somebody. And so we have to recognize that. Picture yourself 10 years from now still dealing with this shit. How drained are you going to be? Close your eyes and think about it. 10 years from now, if you are still going in this cycle with this emotionally unavailable person or this toxic person, how tired are you going to be? How much is it going to rob you of everything in your life? All the good connections that you could have made, all the happiness that has just been wasted because you were dealing with the stress from this. And so, if you can picture that, Diane said it's the love bombing that creates the addiction for me, because they're giving you so much of what you want in such a short period of time. It's this dopamine high. And coming from somebody who struggled with love addiction, that was a big thing for me. And so when we're able to love ourselves and give ourselves some of the things that they're giving us, we're the ones that we can count on to be consistent in our lives. We have to learn to count on ourselves and be able to give ourselves these things. Explore that with yourself. And so then it comes down to, like I said, building that healthy confidence and healthy self-esteem, doing something you love. If you're doing things that fill you up and are fulfilling to you, if you have a fulfilling job and friendships, and you're balanced in your play and your social life, and you're balanced in your self-care and your self-respect, there's no way that you are going to want to continue to settle to get this kind of treatment from somebody. And so, we have to recognize that we can't put all our emotional needs onto one person. This is where we have to have, balance throughout our lives, and building that self-esteem, recognizing your strengths and celebrating yourself and doing things that make you feel good. If you're doing things that are making you feel good, you're less likely to continue to go back to something that doesn't make you feel good, right? And so it's not going to be as strong of an emotional pull if you have other things that are making you happy and releasing that dopamine in your brain. And so, you're going to be spending less time worrying about this other person and feeling like they're the only person that can give you these feelings and meeting your needs to some extent. You're not going to feel that way when you have these other experiences in your life that is filling up your cup. If we have just this constant empty cup and we're looking to this outside source for validation, we're always going to be disappointed. being able to rely on ourselves to give ourselves what we need as much as we can, and then going to our friends, our family, our colleagues, having fun and having hobbies and caring about ourselves. That's going to be the most consistent thing in your life, that you know that you're not going to be let down in those areas, because that's something that you can control. You can't control that other person's behavior. And so those are my four main things that we have to address when letting go of toxic partners and emotionally unavailable partners. And so before I end this, I mentioned how you guys can get that extra support to increase your emotional wellness and actually implement these things that I've mentioned here, so that you can stop having these toxic patterns. If you want this extra support, then go ahead and DM me toxic patterns, and we'll chat from there. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this training and that it was helpful for you, and have a good rest of your day. Bye, everyone.